This is Amateurish, the podcast, episode 7. I'm your co host, Rhett.
I'm your co-host Logan. On today's episode, we're going to cover some news in the NBA college basketball world, specifically Dan Hurley and his decision. Then we're going to also get into a new segment where we're going to ask each other 10 questions basketball related, random. 20 questions, but a different type of style.
Exactly. And yes, we are hurting for topics because we are midsummer. We don't have a super competitive finals at this point. By the time this airs, maybe that'll have changed. But there was some shocking news over the weekend as we heard the Lakers made an offer to UConn coach Dan Hurley,
Mm-hmm.
and terms were reported as 6 years, $70 million,
Yeah.
which would have put him sixth in the NBA.
Originally, we had Shams report that JJ Redick was the front runner, and then Woj dropped the Woj bomb. Nope, it's been Dan Hurley the whole time. They just offered him. When that dropped, I think it was Friday last week,
Something like that.
right before the weekend. I said, I'm 95% certain Hurley's staying.
He did.
I called it. I said, he's a psychopath. He's like, loves it too much. He was a little hesitant. You were a little hesitant.
I was hesitant because it's the Lakers.
It's the Lakers.
It's
It's a once in a lifetime type of job.
and you still have LeBron, you still have Anthony Davis. You're not that far removed from a championship.
Contention.
I was torn. I mean, if you're going entry level in the NBA,
Mhm.
this is a heck of an entry level. It's not like
I hear you.
coaching. It's not like coaching the Hornets.
My one concern though, and besides, just his mentality, was like he doesn't strike me as an NBA coach. If you see his like their inside their practices, he's like a leader of young men
Yeah.
where he's very tough. He's a little old school in that sense. Versus I don't know how that would transition to the pros where it's not I'm not saying it's coddling, but it's different coaching someone making $40 million a year.
It is. I think there's a little element of Nick Saban to this. Nick Saban was coaching the Dolphins, and reportedly, his wife did not enjoy South Florida. She was more of a country
Mhm.
person, and that's when he went to Alabama. Dan Hurley is a Jersey guy. I think his wife
Well,
is,
his wife stopped him from going to Kentucky, apparently.
yeah, and I think she's from Jersey as well. So I think they're very comfortable. Connecticut jerseys, not much difference there. I think he was comfortable with that environment, and he has a chance. He's on the precipice of potentially a three-peat.
Three-peat. I don't know how likely that is. They're going to be a top five, top 10 team going into the season. But just on paper, this looks like the least talented roster of the three. Granted, they're going to be a good team regardless with coaching, and they have some nice pieces. But I don't know. It's not like I don't see an overwhelming abundance of NBA players like the past 2 years.
Yeah, and I think also Hurley's young enough. He's 51. Okay, so he's young enough that he thinks, all right, I can stay with UConn for a few more years, and another job will present itself.
And what I've heard is that he wants his dream job would be the Knicks.
Okay.
Um, just I guess he is the East Coast guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. We almost saw a huge shakeup in the coaching world with if he would have left, those players would have been on the market, and who knows if they would have stayed. And that would have been about six high transfer guys in the portal. But for now, everything's stable in the college basketball world.
Well, the interesting thing about it is we can speculate. We can say, oh, he's a Jersey guy, he's an
Mhm.
East Coast guy, this and that. But UConn, the chances of the building that legacy a bit more. Some of the conversation points have been, did the Lakers say, okay, we are on the verge of a rebuild, in which case they don't have a ton of assets. I don't know that that's attractive to Hurley. Number one. Number two, there was talk about, well, historically, the Lakers haven't paid top salaries to coaches, which is why apparently one of the reasons Ty Lue turned down the job a few years ago. Now, this salary would have made him sixth highest paid behind kind of a few legends in Pop and Eric Spoelstra for starters. So I don't know that it's disrespectful. Those 2 points alone. And then third is whether could he coexist? Can he coach LeBron James?
That's what I'm saying. He seems like a tough coach. I would think he's more suited for the college game. And regarding the contract, obviously $70 million is an insane amount of money. But when they said it like they're gonna make it impossible for him to say no, I would expect it to be more than like around 11 million a year. I would think it would be in that pop level 15 plus.
Could you justify that though? Could you justify a guy who's never done it at this level paying him more than the Ty Lues of the world?
And I also saw a report. This is Twitter rumors where uh Hurley may have leaked this information to Woj
Yeah.
to let Woj get a one up on Shams while also giving Hurley more leverage in contract talks with UConn, get him a little bit more money there. And if that's the case, and he never really was entertaining the Lakers job, that would be interesting.
Yeah, there was some talk that he was using his leverage. The interesting thing, he just got an extension last year from UConn. It's like $30 million. I think it's around between 5 and 6 a
Yeah.
year. But as a state school, he would be the highest paid person in the system.
Mm-hmm.
And for some state schools, that's a problem. They've always had to try to justify it, like the Sabins of the world, the guys at the University of Florida.
Billy Napier is the highest paid in Florida.
Exactly. So I don't know how high they can go. So I don't know that it was leverage for UConn. Interesting whether it was leverage for Woj.
Yeah. Well, and there's a beef there with Woj and Shams. Shams
Yes.
just came on the air and basically said, no, it was not Hurley. Kind of indirect but direct shots at Woj. But
And another factor I think Hurley had to consider is these guys don't last very long.
no, we haven't seen a Lakers coach with their tenure over like 3 years.
Yeah, I mean Luke Walton to Vogel to Darvin Ham, and you throw a championship in there.
Yeah,
Vogel wins
won a championship,
and he's gone within a year or two. It's and then the question is, where does one of the premier franchises? You're 3 weeks, 2 weeks before the draft,
where do you go?
and you don't have a coach. The question is it JJ Redick? We've seen a franchise that thinks it can compete, right? The Bucks turned to Adrian Griffin, who had at least been an NBA assistant for a long time.
He was also doing good before he got fired.
Yeah, and he was doing good. Now you're going to turn it over to a first time coach who's never coached anywhere, as far as we know. That's a tough ask.
I don't think that's a recipe for success for the Lakers or JJ. And I mean, I'd like JJ to stay a commentator.
He's entertaining, and he obviously knows basketball.
I like his podcast.
And you also have the Cavs. I think the Cavs are in a little different situation because
it's not Los Angeles.
It's not Los Angeles. They can't pay quite as much, I think, but they have a huge question there.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland? Or I don't think they can play the two of them together. So I think if they're going to keep Mitchell, if Mitchell says, yes, I am a Cav for the next, for the foreseeable future, then they need a coach who fits well with Mitchell. I think the Lakers are in a different situation because LeBron, I don't see him leaving Los Angeles.
No, I think he's going to retire a Laker.
Yeah.
But I don't know what his expectations are, whether he thinks, another championship is reasonable, or if he just kind of wants to, play with his son or have 2 more years. We don't know what his expectations are, which directly correlate with what Jeannie Buss and the Lakers are going to decide with their hire.
But it's obvious the Lakers are not thrilled with the candidates.
No.
I mean, it could be Redick has always been their guy, and they're just waiting till.
Well, I mean, they offered Hurley the money apparently. So
yeah, it's a question: will that fan base be satisfied with
whoever they hire?
A Borrego. No offense.
Okay,
I think he's an up and coming coach. I think he's done some things in this league, but is that enough?
I think they would want like a higher profile guy. Just
is that?
Yeah, nobody's on the market. So now we're moving on to our 20 questions segment. I got 10 questions. He got 10 questions. We'll go back and forth, all basketball related. So you want to go first?
You lead.
I'll lead. All right. My first question: who is the best or most impressive high school prospect you've ever seen live?
Oh, that's easy.
It's easy.
Yeah. Shaden Sharp.
That's in person too, right?
That's in person. I have seen the Thompson twins.
That's what I thought you were gonna say, man.
I've seen the Boozers. Shaden Sharp played at the big house. You were there, and we watched him play a good team. I mean,
It was an EYBL team.
yeah. The kid Ben Middlebrooks, who
was on NC State,
and yeah, so he just dominated. I mean, he had 40. He was exceptional at both ends of the court. He flushed it. He stepped back from three. It just showed like the entire package. And they went, "Oh my, who is that?" And
yeah, that was before he became number one player in the country too.
And it was he wasn't even
like highly
top
regarded.
10.
No.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've seen Scotty. I've seen Vern Carey. I've seen a lot of guys, but that made an impression.
I remember that one of those rebounds, head was at the rim for a rebound. Wait, what's going on here, man?
Yeah.
But I thought I figured he was in contention. I thought you were gonna even maybe say the Thompson twins, Vernon. But yeah.
Who would you say?
I'd probably say the Thompson twins. Because I've actually played against them too.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I saw one of the Thompsons. I don't know which one. He came from the foul line. Kid was shooting a baseline three. Came from the foul line and sent it so high. It was like, oh my god!
He basically blocked it before the shot was even on.
It was unbelievable.
I remember this is when they were in 10th grade. The kid hit his head on the backboard and had to get on a dunk and had to get subbed out the game.
Yeah.
It's a little different in 10th grade.
Yeah, that was insane. Yeah, that was for me. That's
okay.
Right. Okay, so my first question is, who are the top 3 most influential college players since the turn of the century, since 2000?
Okay. In my opinion?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go Zion Williamson.
Okay.
Trae Young. It's the turn of the century, so influential. I kind of want to go Anthony Davis.
Okay.
Those are my 3. AD, Zion, and Trae Young. AD because 2012 when he won the championship. I think that was no, taking it back. Sorry. I'm going AD, I'm going Zion Williamson, and I'm going Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony, 2003, when they won the championship, as a freshman, he led them and then went one and done. That was some of the first time we ever saw something like that.
Okay.
Then I'm going AD because he won the championship kind of as like on a team full of freshmen. And he was the number 1 pick then. And he was on Team USA in 2012 before he even played in NBA. And then I'm going Zion for just the cultural impact he had. Like you followed every Zion move.
I went a little different, and I actually had 4, which was a slight cop out. The first is Steph Curry. Not so much.
Yeah.
Not so much for what he did in college.
Okay.
But he's had such a reverberation throughout basketball. So that's kind of my cop out. I took Ja Morant. He was a first team All-American from Murray State. Now, Murray State, interestingly enough, had a guy, second team All-American.
Campaign?
No, Isaiah Canaan.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they've had great guards.
So, but Ja came from nowhere. And his impact is very much like the last guy on my list, John Wall. Wall I have on there because Wall is the prototype lead scoring guard. He
can drop dimes, dude.
Sure, that's what you want though. In a lead guard, the current lead guard is a guy who can score. Like we don't see the Chris Pauls. I know Chris Paul can score, but
I think John Wall's a great passer. Who's your other guy?
And my last guy is it's going to be a surprise.
Oh, that's not going to be.
What?
I wanted to include Jimmer.
I almost did.
Oh yeah.
I almost did.
It's got to be Jimmer.
No, it's Christian Braun.
What?
Yes, exactly. I'll tell you why.
That's tripping.
I'll tell you why. He ushered in. I almost took Hawkwest. He ushered in the multi-year player going into the first round to fill an immediate role on a good team. That's what he did. Not for his impact in college, not for what he's done, but he on the draft. Jaquez, those players have now come back in favor, and as we get the second apron teams, you're going to see a lot more of those guys go.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I hear you, and but I think there could have been examples before that.
He
Yeah,
was the one that
stuck out to you.
stuck out to me.
I think we should have gave some love to Jimmer though.
I did think about Jimmer. I just didn't.
When you said Steph, he came right to my mind. Oh, I forget Jimmer.
I just didn't know. I mean, he had deep threes, small scoring guard, but I just didn't know where
Electric.
he was. He was, but there've been other guys like that, you know.
Yeah, I think, but he was kind of the first. Like he was Steph before Steph.
Yeah, a little bit.
Even though
no, I think
Steph was the first. Yeah, but
yeah.
all right. Yeah. Okay. My next question, I'm giving you a start, bench, cut. 3 college guys. College Ben Simmons, college Markel Fultz, and college Ja Morant. Start, bench, cut. Those 3.
Here's the difficulty. All of them were very good in college. Very good.
Yeah, that's why I put her.
The difficulty is none of those teams really did much.
Yeah. I mean, one did make tournament in Ja, and they actually won a game.
Sure, but I'm saying.
Yeah, that's why I kind of wanted to go with just. And 2 number 1 picks and a second overall pick.
Yeah. I think I would start Ja. I think he had 2 sustained years of excellence. I would bench Simmons because he was really good that one year.
Yeah.
He showed the full range. I didn't see Fultz enough, so I'll cut him. I know he had a really.
Fultz was nice at Washington.
I know he had a really good tenure at Washington, but I couldn't say I saw him enough to say, oh yeah, that's a good. It's a brain teaser.
Okay.
What would you do?
Start Simmons, bench Fultz, cut Ja.
Wow. Okay.
Even though Ja has the most like impressive feat, like the triple double against Marquette in the tournament,
and he elevated a team that really didn't have anybody else.
Dude, I saw Markel Fultz in college. Like I watched his games because I was a big fan.
Okay.
And he's the number 1 pick for a reason. He's ridiculous. And then Ben, I have a love hate relationship with Ben. He used to be one of my favorite players, but
yeah, I think a lot of Philadelphia Sixers fans have a very similar feeling about Ben Simmons. Boy, he was a phenom, and then
yeah,
I don't know what happened. Well, we know what happened.
Yeah, we know.
So let's stay out west. Markel Fultz.
He's on the Magic.
I mean, college. Will Gonzaga ever win it all? In our, in the near future, not ever.
That's a good one. I want to say yes, but they're so due that it may never happen. This team they got next year is nice. I don't know about championship, but they're gonna be good. I'll say yes. How old is Mark Few though?
Mark Few is one of the reasons I say no.
Because his age?
Yeah, he's not that old. I think he's approaching 60 or early 60s, something like that. We'll check and throw up the graphic to correct our other mistakes. But I have a couple reasons.
Okay,
one,
what's your reason?
Their freshman classes the last few years have been poor.
Okay, the last few years being like the last 2 years.
2 years.
Okay.
But since the
the recruiting hasn't been as great. Or Holmgren.
Holmgren, okay, yeah. Sure. Conference realignment, they're on the outside. And it's not a huge school. It doesn't have a football program that I'm aware of. If it does, it's at a lower level.
Yeah.
So NIL, yes, it can all go towards basketball, but there's got to be a limit. And at some point, Mark Few will hang them up. And I don't see this team. I'm not as high on this team as other rankers are. We'll touch on them later, but just not sold that they have a legitimate chance to win it this year.
Those are good points, and I think I actually tend to agree with you and flip my answer because the conference realignment plus Yeah, that's a good point.
Wise choice.
Wise choice. Wise choice. So, my third question: who is the greatest college team you've ever seen to never win it all?
Oh, to never win it all. Oof. See, UNLV, I would have said immediately. They did win it
Yeah,
though.
yeah, yeah.
I think it has to kind of be Michigan.
Fat Five.
It has to be. Two NBA Hall of Famers, one longtime NBA guard. They really didn't have holes.
Yes.
Um,
They were all freshmen. They had no experience. The whole was calling a timeout because freshmen.
but dominant players,
Yeah.
and it allowed Weber to roam more. Howard with the low post. Huge fan of King. He was a really good guard. Um, I would say if UNLV hadn't won it,
Mm-hmm.
I, by far, that was one of the best teams I've ever seen. I'm sure there's some Duke teams, some Kentucky
What
teams
about
in
that
there.
Kentucky 2015 undefeated?
Yeah, I think in retrospect,
I mean, that team was disgusting.
yeah, but in retrospect, some of the guys that were key players never went to do anything.
Well, D-Book, Cat, like
Agreed, but they weren't. I think
Cat.
that was the Harrisons that year, right?
Well, yeah, but D Cat was the number one pick. He was like a starter, right? But
Yeah,
that was the year they did the platoon system
yeah,
because they were so talented. They
yeah.
went 38-0.
I think you're going to see that this year at Arkansas, but
I know Cal said he's never doing that again.
Okay.
And then another team that came to my mind was 2021 Gonzaga with Suggs and Timmy.
Yeah, and they came really close.
Yeah, that team was really good, dude.
Yeah, I would have said if Gonzaga was going to win it,
That was probably the year.
that
I mean,
was
they made the two national championships.
yeah. Um, yeah, Michigan though.
Yeah, I that's a good pick. I like that.
All right, so my third question is a little open ended. I think we're going to agree on this. Will top high school recruits keep choosing college? Because there are defections. There are guys who go to OT. There are guys who go to the
Well,
MBL.
OCE is
The same.
not the same. It's basically just a different high school.
And there's no G League anymore.
Yeah, yes, I think they will, especially G League Ignite is disbanding and with NIL.
Okay.
If you asked me this 4 years ago, with OT on the rise, G League Ignite on the rise, NBL, different answer. But yes, they will.
Fair.
My fourth question. This is a social media great one.
Uh,
Who's winning, the 2016 Chino Hills with the Ball brothers and Onyeka Kongwu, or 2020 Montverde, Cade and M?
I'm drawing a blank on who the big was.
They were on Sharp.
They were on Sharp.
They also had Caleb Houston. They had Scotty. They had Cade.
Yeah, I would have to go
They had
with
Derek Whitehead.
probably go with Montverde only because they're complete.
Yeah, they were so deep, bro.
They were deep. The only question is scoring wasn't there. I mean, yes, they could score, obviously, but it wasn't like they were overwhelming teams that were, running up centuries every night. Chino Hills, in a one game setting with those guys bombing away.
I'm saying Montverde wins by a 10.
Yeah.
Because a public school just doesn't have the depth to compete with
Sure.
Montverde.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah, and we're talking three guys versus seven.
Well, Big O. Big O. The other Ball brother was a bucket.
Yeah.
Jello. But yeah, no, I got that Montverde team is the greatest team I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
I think they have 6 NBA players.
Yeah, and if we went back in time, it'd be interesting. The DeMatha Dunbar teams.
Yeah, back in the day, Dunbar 5.
Yeah, for sure. All right. My fourth question is: what top college coach currently coaching would you see jumping to the NBA?
Oh, similar kind of question. Just recent soon.
Yeah.
I would say top college coach. I kind of want to go younger because I feel like the old guys have already had their opportunity. But this is a good one. I kind of want to say Scott Drew. but I feel like he's been at Baylor so long that it's already like past that time. But he kind of gives me NBA vibes. Another guy would maybe be. Man, that's a good one. I don't know.
Let me throw three
Yeah,
names
give me
out
some
there.
names and I'll say yes or no.
Bill Self,
No.
because of age.
Age, he's definitely had the opportunity and he's just, I think he's staying in college.
Okay.
He's had those health flare ups, so I think he's just going to.
Okay. Matt Painter.
No, not an NBA coach.
Okay. And the last guy is Musselman.
He is a mercenary.
Dad coached in the league.
He did? I didn't know that.
Musselman.
I don't know, though. I feel like we'll see how the USC tenure goes.
Okay.
But yeah, those are some decent.
Bruce Pearl.
I just feel like I want to go younger.
Yeah.
Like maybe Shaquille Holloway. No, hasn't done enough. But
Yeah.
like that type of mold.
Shaka Smart.
He came to mind, but it would have already passed. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I there's no candidate that jumps out. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I've got to
Danny.
Danny Hurley.
Yeah,
we've talked about him. Yeah, there's no guy who's like, oh, I've got as a franchise, I got to go get him.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Interesting.
Yeah, maybe the next young up and coming coach, but we don't know who that is. Okay, this is my fifth question. Who would you rather have as a coach? Like if you're the coach, Mark Sears or R.J. Davis for this upcoming year?
I'm the coach.
You're the coach.
Oof. I think it's got to be Mark Sears. I think he gives you a little more defensively, a little.
Okay.
And is a little more well-rounded. I think Davis has probably got a higher ceiling as a scorer. But I'm a big fan of Sears. I know he's undersized, but he's a gamer.
Yeah, I'd probably lean towards Sears too, but both were, I think, first team All Americans this year. So.
Yeah. It's an interesting question. Yeah. RJ Davis or Caleb Love?
We saw how both teams are.
All right. So my fifth question is name the most indispensable players to the top 5 currently ranked in the ESPN Wake Too Early crap. I'll go one by one.
All right.
Kansas.
The most indispensable?
Most indispensable. They cannot win a championship without this guy.
DeJuan Harris.
Oh, wow. Okay. I would have gone Hunter.
Yeah, they don't have another point guard, though. I mean, Zeke, like guy like that.
True. Yeah,
and he's a winner. He actually won a championship.
Kind of what we just touched on, Bama.
Mark Sears. It has to be.
Yeah, and I said that because without Sears, they were just a, nice team.
Yeah, Sears.
Yeah. Gonzaga. I know they're not. I'm not going.
Gonzaga. Nemhard. They got Ike. They got some nice pieces. I would go Nemhard. I like the point guard kind of indispensable. He's got to right the ship.
I'm gonna go Ike.
Ike? Okay.
Ike, when he was in foul trouble, when he was hurt, whatever, they couldn't do anything. And it's essentially the same roster. I know they got Michael Ajayi and they bring back Steel Ventures, but Ike to me is indispensable. I agree. Normally, you need that point guard, but Nemhard, for me, didn't elevate his game much.
Yeah, but he's a steadying force, and he's gonna be. You know what he's getting. 13 points a game around there.
UConn.
Got to be Caravan.
Yeah, agreed.
Guaranteed, like you know what you're getting. All these other guys are a little bit unproven. Yeah, Mahaney, you know what he's done. Terrace Reed, but Lee McNeely, I think Caravan is the guy, and he has 2 rings. He knows what it takes.
Yeah, and he's a Hurley guy.
Yeah, 100% Caravan.
Houston.
I'm not as familiar with their roster, but I'm gonna go with Emmanuel Sharp.
I'm gonna go with Uzan, the point guard from Oklahoma, because without it's similar logic. Without him, they have no other point guard.
Yeah, but Sharp is their best player.
Sharp is their best player, but without Uzan, I don't know that this team gets very far.
Okay, was that 5 or is there one?
That's it.
Okay, that's good. All right, I got a 20. I'm gonna do my own 20 questions here. So you got 20 questions to guess a current NBA player. I shouldn't have said current. Oh, that would have been
my first question.
All right, I'll count.
Does he play in the West?
Yes.
Is he 6'9" or taller?
No.
Is he African American?
Yes.
Okay. Is he an all-star?
No.
Okay. Um, I forget the names of the divisions, but does he play in the same division with the Lakers?
No.
Does he play in the same division with the Spurs?
No.
Okay. Did he play for the former a team in the former Pac-12?
Nope.
Did he play for a team in the SEC?
Yes.
Did he make the at least the conference semifinals this year?
What do you mean?
Did
Oh, as his team?
yeah.
No.
Does he has he ever averaged more than 15 points in a season?
Yes.
Has he ever in the past been an all-star?
No. It's 11.
Is he 6'5" or shorter?
Yes.
Now I'm drawing a blank on who's in that division. Has he ever averaged 20 points or more?
Yes.
Help me because I can't think of the teams in the division.
Our audio viewers are going to be very confused.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Put me on a clock here. Can I look and see the teams in that division? Because
You gotta
all I'm coming up with is Minnesota, and I know that's not he's not on
just think of
Minnesota.
that region, dude, of the country, those states.
I am. I'm totally blanking. Does he play on the Nuggets?
No, they made the conference semifinals.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Guys, trip. 6 questions left.
Oh, goodness.
Burned a question for no reason.
We'll have to cut some of the pauses out here.
Nah, we're gonna keep them in. Show the audience how much you're struggling. You gotta get the team, dude.
I can't.
Come on,
I'm just drawing a blank on who's in that division. Whatever that division is called.
Well, you can narrow down the teams.
No, I really can't.
You can't ask about
really
states, team history.
Oh, and it's a guy probably on the. Has he been in the NBA for 10 or more years?
No. 5 questions left. I'm gonna start guessing soon. You have multiple routes to go to. You can find out what college you went to.
There's 12 colleges at least in the
You
SEC.
should waste a couple questions here.
It would just help if I could picture.
You have a map in your head of like the states in that region, the Northwest. That's what the division's called. I'll just give you a hint. The Northwest Division.
Do Vancouver Grizzlies still play?
We'll count that as a question.
um, Northwest. Did he play on Utah?
Yes. Wow. Out of thin air.
I don't think he went to an SEC school. Oh, Colin Sexton.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Dang, I thought I was gonna get you. That was not good. Yeah, it's Colin Sexton.
That was poor by me. I apologize. We're gonna have to cut some of the ums
Nope.
and
Leaving
ahs.
it all in. Jeez, man.
Just drew a blank.
You could have narrowed it down like what's the SEC school south or east of the Mississippi, west of the Mississippi. You could have got Bama out of
By
there.
the time we got there, I was thinking it was Jordan Clarkson.
He went to Missouri.
Yeah, but I was
He
like,
would have actually. I think he fit every single
we
thing.
sort of have a a relationship with Colin. Not that we know him,
No, I love Colin
but
Sexton.
you know we've followed him for a while. So
I think Jordan Clarkson fit every single
yeah,
question.
I think he did as well. That's why I was like, is it?
Yeah.
I was gonna
No,
get.
he's been in the league 10 years, I think. Though.
Yes, yes. All right. My sixth question is: what is a successful season? Obviously, winning the title.
Yeah.
Successful season for these college teams that recently had big coaching changes. So
Okay.
let's start with Arkansas.
I see the Arkansas fans don't have the expectations same as Big Blue Nation with Cal. But I think with this roster, they got to make at least a Sweet 16.
Okay. Um, can't disagree. I think Musselman got them there. I think he got to the
Elite Eight, 1 year,
eight.
yeah. He did.
USC.
Tournament.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't love their roster, and after last year, a tournament would be successful.
Agreed. SMU.
Above 500.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
And they're also going to the ACC. It's going to be much
tougher.
harder.
Yeah, tougher. Michigan.
Not be a bubble team in the tournament.
Well, solid.
Like a securely, like you have your spot. Yeah.
Fair. And last, Kentucky.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on Pope. I'm gonna say, and this is gonna be because they have to make the Sweet 16.
Okay.
Because they haven't made it out the first weekend yet, and I mean the past like 3-4
So
years.
2 games in the tournament.
They have to win 2 games in the tournament.
Okay.
Like they cannot get upset by a small.
No,
they cannot get upset.
Yeah, fair. Okay, that's it.
All right. So I have an open-ended one. What is the biggest issue in AAU today?
I would say stratification. You have a very clear separation of levels. You've got the EYBL, head and shoulders above. That's where the majority of top guys are coming from. Then you have kind of the secondary shoe circuits, Under Armour, Adidas. There are guys in there who are going to be impact players, and then you've got the top independents, and then you've got everybody else. And I coached AAU, so I never had a tremendous amount of talent at my disposal for various reasons. So we were always guys. We would take guys in stray dogs, if you will.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you want to run with us for a tournament? Fine. Top teams don't have to do that. Top teams don't have to worry about funding. They're funded. They're not worried. It's a choice about where they're going to eat, not what they're going to eat.
Yeah.
And that I think is the top 2 strata. maybe some top independent teams have that, but
They're like an NBA player team.
yeah,
So
um,
what? But what's your issue with that? Like, what's the?
it's not really an issue. I mean, I don't think cheating at the high school level exists because as a parent and a coach, I remember you would play in sixth grade and they'd be like, "Oh, that kid just drove himself to the game." Okay, fine. Maybe there's some of that, but maybe the kid really is, that tall, that early, that you know, um, matured that early. It's not really cheating. I mean, the refereeing is
But
just,
with the stratification part, is
I,
that
it's
just
just,
because it's just like it's impossible to compete
yeah.
if you're an independent team?
I think that's the problem, and
Okay.
also the problem with it is expectations are unreal because people say, "Oh, you're playing AAU." Well, yeah, okay, fine, but I can't field a 7 footer. You
Yeah.
know, I, okay. Stepping back a second, it's development of the skill. We've heard about that for a long, long time, but I don't think that's on the AAU coach. Every player now, every top player, right, who has some resources, has a high school coach, has an AAU coach, and also probably has a trainer.
Hmm.
And the high school coach gets that kid almost every day for the season, and that's where they learn basketball. They learn
How to play.
schemes and play and the nuances of the game. High school coaches don't have a ton of time to work on skills, but AAU coaches have no time to work on skills. I mean, we would get players in who we'd never seen before, and you just can't run a sophisticated offense in that scenario. You just have to say our high pick and roll. We'll go five out. The basics. Um, and then the trainer. It's the trainer who, if you are lucky enough to have access to a trainer, and pretty much most of the top kids have that, that's where you're going to get your skill development, your handles, your shot, those types of things. So I would say, yeah, it's development, but I think A coaches are unfairly blamed for that. They just don't have the access to these kids.
Yeah. I mean, I would. I want to have an episode dedicated to AU because I
Mm,
can literally talk about it all day. So I'm not going to respond too much to that. But I would say just one thing before we move on. There are too many teams, travel teams. There are so many teams. There should not be that many teams because you should not be playing AAU if you are not, at a certain level of skill.
I think that's a little unfair.
I I hear you, but there are think about it. Since in our AAU lifetime, so to say, so when we started fourth grade and then up until my senior year, think about how many teams came into
Oh,
existence.
sure, yeah,
It went from when we were 8 years. So in that 8 years, AAU was like we were new to it, but it wasn't as nearly as big as
right.
it was. It's insane how many every NBA player has a team. Every high school coach has their own team or like a
A relationship,
relationship with a team. You got freaking Mookie Betts has a team, dog.
yeah,
He doesn't. He's a baseball player.
right.
So and then you have Nike, you have the UIBL, you have Adidas, you have Under Armour. All right, those three legit all certified as NBA players on each circuit. You have Puma, you have New Balance,
Mm.
you have and then you have all the independent Puma and New Balance that just came out. And then you have the independent circuits where you have Hoop Scene, you have NY2LA, you have the Hoop Group, Zero Gravity, and then you have all the local tournaments, guys, per state. That's just so much basketball that sometimes is unnecessary. And then because the EYBL, Adidas, Under Armour, they don't need funding, so they're not charging an arm and leg to get in the building. The local ones, they got no backing, so they're charging a single mother $50 for 2 days of
Yeah,
entry fee. I don't want to. We'll stop the conversation there before we get because I want to have an episode dedicated to this. But
yeah, I disagree
that's when you said
on that
stratification. I thought you were going there, but
level. Yeah, and also the money aspect you bring up, it is a
it's
shame.
ridiculous.
But there are kids I coached
Yeah.
that, for whatever reason, didn't didn't show their potential in high school.
I'm not saying if
And
you
then you put him in that setting and he gets seen,
okay,
and it's,
okay, but think about the kids you coached, right?
yeah,
And think about how a good amount of them played for multiple teams.
yeah,
Some of those multiple teams did not need to be exist because
yeah.
basically they're running on fumes
Fumes.
and they are not winning anything. It's not they're not developing the kids. They're playing in back gyms where there's no exposure. There's no need for those teams to exist. And especially if they only have 8 guys, 7 guys.
Yeah, I think, but you also have to manage expectations there. The kids have to understand this is, this is fun, this is competitive, you'll get
It can be
better.
fun and it's good to play. Playing is the most
Right.
important thing. But I just think too many teams. But let's move on
Okay.
to
All right. So my seventh question is, how much rope, or
we're
how
about to get an
warm is
unexpected
this
visitor.
seat of Penny Hardaway and, to a lesser extent, Rick Pitino?
So how warm is Penny Hardaway? Penny Hardaway is a really good transfer class coming in from Memphis. And there's our unexpected visitor. And Rick Pitino. I think Penny Hardaway has a far warmer seat than Rick
Okay.
because he just got the St.
Just got
John's
it.
job. Granted, I thought they should have been better than they were last year, but he's also a living legend.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I would say Penny has. Dude, he's been on the hot seat since he got the job.
But he's a Memphis
Legend.
legend.
Oh,
There goes the shot.
Yeah. Penny, if he doesn't make the tournament this year, we're on level 9, level 10.
Yeah, agreed.
Rick, um, Rick has a talented squad. He should succeed. Rick needs to make the tournament, but there's not a lot of pressure. I think he's guaranteed at least 2, 3 more years at St. John's.
Fair.
Because they're paying him a lot of money too. All right. So this is my question. Was this 8? Yeah. Who would translate better to the NBA as a coach? So kind of similar to the question you had earlier. Bill Self, Danny Hurley, or Kelvin Sampson? Basically the top 3 coaches in the game.
I would say Self. Both Sampson and Hurley are very intense coaches. Um, they rely, certainly Sampson relies on defense, and it's a lot harder to coach very high paid players in the NBA to play that kind of defense, and it's harder to play that kind of defense. Hurley's intensity is another thing. I would say Self. He's been around, big personalities. He's been at different stops. I think he's level headed. Probably would go with Self.
I would agree with you there.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple NBA questions here. Will LeBron James win another ring?
No. Not in the West. Not with the roster construction. Not with the team. And I've always said if LeBron gets another ring, that's going to put him as the GOAT for me.
Okay.
Right now I got MJ, but if LeBron wins another ring, he's the GOAT. I just don't think. Yeah, I think the win not last year, but the year before when they took when the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. So was that 2022?
Yeah.
Or 23.
23.
That was their last chance.
Okay. Yeah, I would tend to agree unless he ring chases.
He's not leaving LA.
But I don't think he's leaving LA either.
All right. So I don't know if the viewers know this yet, as a Villanova alum, who are your top 3 Villanova Wildcats of all time?
Oh, no. No. Oh, man.
I'm beyond you if you have any.
I'm going to leave somebody out.
Yeah, I'm beyond you.
All right. Number 3, I have a.
You don't have to rank them if you don't want to. We just made it
weakness
harder for yourself.
for Mikal Bridges. He grew up in a place very close to me. Didn't know him, but I know where he comes from, and love his game. I thought when he came in the NBA, he was going to make that jump. It took him a few years, I don't think he's there yet, but he's one of my favorite players of
So
all.
there's definitely going to be some very honorable omissions.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back. I'm gonna omit Ed Pinkney. I'm gonna.
You hitting anybody from the '85 team?
Well, Pinkney would have been the guy.
Okay.
Um, I mean, Pinkney.
So Pinckney would have been the guy, but you're going to omit him.
Yeah, I mean, Ed Pinkney was a
Yeah,
fantastic
yeah.
player. Had a career in the NBA. Um, oh, this is hurtful. Wow.
Clock is ticking.
I'm gonna go Colin Gillespie, and number one.
Is this a question? Is this a question right now?
It is a question. It is a question.
No, it's not.
I'm gonna surprise you. I'm gonna say Randy Foy.
I actually want to end the episode early. There is.
I know. I know.
What is this guy talking? Yo, they should take away your freaking degree, bro. Jalen Brunson.
Jalen Brunson.
He's
But I could
a
have said
two
Josh
times-
Hart. I could have
Only
said
one of them is a
Orange.
two-time champ.
I know.
Only one
Well,
of them.
Mikal.
No, he wasn't. Was he a two?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, only one of them is the National Player of the
Yeah,
Year.
I understand. I get it.
Who'd you say?
I said Randy Foy.
What? All right,
I probably shouldn't have ranked them
you could have done Kerry Kittles.
because yeah,
You could have
They
done
were-
Chris
those teams
Jenkins
just
for
were-
one shot alone.
Eric Pascal. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No,
No.
why no JB?
he's in there.
Why?
That's just- I have this sentimental attachment to Bridges.
Okay, so these are personal more.
I have Gillespie just because he was a warrior and he hurt his leg and that was a mess. And then Foy was kind of at the resurgence.
Yeah. Okay, so these are more personal. I just okay.
Yeah, and no, if you're ranking just pure
Accolades.
it would be Brunson, Josh Hart, Kittles, Pinkney in some order like that. Yeah. But a slight interruption for the rain. If you see me a little wet,
You're still watching.
if you're still tuned in at this point in time,
We love you if you
you
are.
are our number one fan. We'll be sure to send you some swag. Okay, so my ninth question is
We have swag.
they don't need to know.
We like $2.
Name me a dark horse team for the NCAA and the NBA for next year.
Okay. Dark horse college. The Gators. No, that's biased. Shoot. It's a good one. I mean, obviously, I've been a little vocal about I think Gonzaga has a nice squad.
They're ranked fifth.
Yeah, I don't know. A dark horse would be like a. Okay, dark horse. They're not going to win it all, but they're going to be better. UCF.
Okay.
They're returning a good amount of guys. They got Keyshawn Hall from George Mason, who was like 17-point scorer. And their number one recruit 2025, who was the number one center, he's a 5-star, 7'2", Mustafa Fian, just reclassified up.
Okay.
So they have a 5-star, 7'2" big man coming in.
Okay.
So I'm not saying they're going to win it all by any means, but I think they will be solid.
Okay.
So I'm kind of under radar. NBA, dark horse is tricky because we don't know any free agency, we don't know any draft. Who do I think will be better? My Pistons. No, I'm joking. I'm gonna say the Rockets. And the Rockets will make the playoffs, make a little noise up in there. To the Rockets.
You'll see the Rockets come up in the next question.
Whoa, I got my last question.
I said in my
Okay.
All right. I would say a dark horse is sort of a middle of the pack Big 12 team like Iowa State.
Yeah, they were a 2 seed.
They were. I like the way they play relentless defense and
Great coach.
Really good coaching. Yeah, I really like him. Kansas State, another team you could throw in there. The NBA is very difficult to do. One of the interesting things is there's 2 rules that I think apply.
Okay.
One, you can't win a title in your first run
In the playoffs, yeah.
Like you're too young, like the Oklahoma Cities and Minnesotas of the world. And I think that really holds up over time.
Oh, I didn't mean the Rockets were gonna win the
No,
title.
well, that's a dark horse.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of meant they were just gonna be like a good team.
Okay. Um, I and then the other rule that usually applies is you can only have so many finals runs before they catch up with you. You saw it happen to Golden State,
Yeah, with like the longevity.
right? And Boston now deep runs in the last three
And
years.
also, they got I think three guys on Team USA Olympics that are they're gonna be gas next year.
Yeah, and you've got a guy with injury concerns like Kristaps.
Yeah, he just had the 33rd ever injury.
Yeah, so I I would say a Philadelphia, not a super dark horse.
Yeah. It's hard to have a dark horse. You kind of know everybody.
Yeah, but that type of team, I think, has a chance. I We'll see about some of the other ones.
Okay. My final question: who was the player that got you into college basketball?
I would say a combination of Billy Thompson, Milt Wagner,
Hmm.
um, because of
Milt Wagner. Dang, you're old.
the Camden connection.
Yeah.
They were really good at Louisville. I wasn't too interested in the 82 or 83 North Carolina State miracle.
Jimmy V.
Obviously Villanova.
Yeah.
The Pinckney, another guy. Yeah, those guys right
You know
there.
who I would say for mine? You have any guesses?
Chris Jenkins.
Nah, before that.
um, drawing a blank. Steph Curry.
Oh, dude, I was after that. Sheldon McClellan and
Oh,
Angel Rodriguez.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Miami Legends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We were #2, and then we won the ACC championship.
Fair.
Yeah.
All right. So to wrap it up, I've got some percentages.
Like I have to give you how likely this is.
Right.
Okay.
Out of 100. Some percentages work. Paul George re-signs with the Clippers.
65%.
Okay. That's fair. LeBron stays in LA.
For his career or this like
Next year, just next year.
next year, I'm gonna go with 90%.
90. Okay, fair. Um, Reddick will be the next Lakers coach.
Here's our boy. Ooh, 35%.
Wow. Okay. Um,
I've heard there's been like minimal contact since the Dan Hurley thing with JJ and Lakers.
okay. Well, he's also working the finals as a
Yeah.
analyst. So, what are the percentages that the Rockets make a Western Conference final in the next 4 years? It's your dark horse team.
Dude, the Western Conference is so stacked with these young teams. 60%.
Wow. Okay.
Actually, no. 50%.
I'm going to go a little lower.
50%.
I love some of the guys the Rockets have, but there are positions that are blocked.
Yeah, if I'm gonna go 50%.
I really feel bad for a Cam Whitmore, a the Thompson. I just because once you sign those veterans and once you realize, hey, I'm on the precipice of competing, then it's like let me get another veteran.
Yeah, I'm
So
gonna go 50%.
okay, Monty Williams lasts more than 2 more years.
In Detroit,
Yeah, huge contract.
how do you know how long they have him under contract for?
That's at least 5 total.
I mean, this is his second year there.
Yeah.
Last more than 2 years, I'm gonna say 40%.
Okay.
Because that money.
I think the money makes a difference.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have said no, he's not.
You already would have been fired.
Yeah. But just paying out.
That's insane.
That's a lot
Yeah,
of
I would say
payout.
40%.
Um, the Spurs making the playoffs next year.
70%.
Is that play in plus playoff?
Yeah, playing counts.
Okay. I think that's too high.
You don't know who Victor Wembanyama is.
I do. I just know who everybody else is on that team. And
Do you know if Vic is playing for France this year in the Olympics?
Haven't heard. I'd be shocked if he wasn't.
Yeah.
And that's a stack.
Their team is nice.
Stacked team.
They got, yeah.
You know, Sar, Risache, and those are just the young guys.
Yeah. Solid one.
Yeah. Embiid makes a finals in the next 2 seasons.
Ever. Embiid makes it out of the second round. In the next 2 seasons, let's go with 20%.
Wow. Okay. And
the East is not that deep though. I could see it being more, but I'm gonna go with 20%.
Okay.
Got to prove to me they can play in the playoffs.
The Knicks add a star. I'm not gonna say second or third. A star.
Star in this offseason?
Yeah.
35%. I think they're gonna sign. They're gonna think that like kind of on the running back because the injuries are, and they might sign like a starter or a good role player, but I don't think they'll sign a star.
And last question is chances of a NBA Finals rematch next year.
Mavs Celtics.
Yeah.
2%.
Yeah, I think it's low. I don't think it's very high.
I'm not gonna lie, the Celtics, when what we've talked about, like their bodies are gonna be hurting, and the Mavs. There's so many teams in the West, so.
All right, thanks for tuning in to Amateurish episode 7.
Let us know in the comments below if you agreed with our answers for each other's questions and how'd you like this new segment. I personally really enjoyed it. But yeah, so we'll catch y'all next week, and make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below. Peace.